I never believed in omens. I believed in steady paychecks and quiet neighborhoods. That's why I took the overnight shift at Maple Mart on South River Road. The place was small, tucked between a dark stretch of trees and the distant hum of Route 101. By midnight, the world outside flattened into shadows, and the endless buzz of the freezers became my only company. That Thursday night felt no different. At 12:45 a.m., the parking lot was an empty slab of asphalt under a single buzzing street lamp. I had brewed a fresh pot of coffee, mostly for myself, and was wiping the counter when the front door chimed. He stepped in like he'd done it 1,000 times. A man no taller than my shoulder, hair neatly parted and silver gray under the harsh lights, khaki pants, pale blue button-down shirt, brown loafers that had seen better years. He carried no phone, no wallet, just a single folded bill pinched between two fingers. I asked how his night was. He whispered, "Fine." He bought a bottle of spring water and a pack of peppermints, the kind of purchase that usually means insomnia or late drive home from nowhere in particular. Nothing about him said trouble, but something about him was sharp, like his mind was wound tighter than his soft-spoken tone suggested. While the receipt printed, he studied me. Not a casual glance, not a friendly look. Studied me like he was memorizing the tilt of my head, the freckles on my arms, the way I counted his change. Then it happened. His hand darted forward and wrapped around my wrist. Not painfully, just firmly. Too firm for someone his age, or maybe too precise. His grip didn't tremble. It didn't loosen. It simply was, like he'd practiced the exact pressure it would take to hold a stranger's attention without leaving a bruise. He leaned close. His breath smelled of mints and something else, something earthy, like wet soil. He said, "Be careful, girl. There is a devil all the time." And then nothing. He let go, slipped his items into his shirt pocket, turned, walked out. The door chimed once more. The lot beyond the glass swallowed him whole. No footsteps, no car engine, no sign he'd been there at all. The rest of my shift passed like I was dreaming, half convinced he'd been some lonely old man with a flair for the dramatic. By sunrise, I almost believed it. Almost. 3 nights later, the store was quieter than usual. A light rain traced patterns on the windows. By 12:55 a.m., I'd locked the side door, swept behind the chip racks, and printed the final till report. The store closed at 1, though regulars knew I'd still sell coffee if they asked. At 1:03, headlights swept across the glass, bright enough to blind me. I thought someone had pulled in for gas, but the lights vanished as quickly as they came. I moved closer to the window, uneasy. That's when I saw it. A white panel van, idling at the pumps. No company logo, no license plates. Just a blank rectangle of metal where tags should be. My first instinct was to hit the silent alarm. My second was to convince myself it was nothing. Curiosity won. I stood there as the passenger door creaked open and a figure stepped out. A man in a hooded sweatshirt, black mask, pistol glinting in the drizzle. He came straight for me. I stepped back, palms raised, words stuck in my throat. He ordered me to open the register. His voice was low, muffled, steady. Not desperate, not rushed, like he'd done this before. I slid the cash onto the counter. He scooped it up, demanded the safe. I told him it was on a 12-hour time lock. He cursed once, spun, and bolted. The van peeled out of the lot without headlights, vanishing into the mist. My fingers found the silent alarm only after the glass stopped rattling. Bedford police arrived in 10 minutes. They took my statement, checked for prints, none, too damp, then huddled with me around the CCTV monitor. The footage showed the masked man, But it wasn't him that caught my attention. It was the driver. When the passenger door slammed, the interior light flicked on for a fraction of a second, just long enough to reveal a face. Gray hair, pale blue collar, narrow shoulders. The old man. 2 days later, Detective Mason called. They'd found a white panel van abandoned on an overgrown logging path in Bear Brook State Park. Shoe prints near the driver's side matched one lifted from our floor. A full task force swept the woods at dawn. They found an encampment wedged between boulders, tarps sagging with rain, boxes of stolen cigarettes and scratch tickets piled like scavenged treasure. Huddled in the camp were 3 men, 2 younger, both with Massachusetts records, and the old man. His name was Leonard Abbott, 71 years old, Portsmouth address, no recent arrest history. When they cuffed him, he didn't resist. He didn't speak, except for one thing, one phrase, calm as a man discussing the weather. There is a devil all the time. According to the trooper who let him out, Abbott never stopped staring into the tree line. Not once. A week later, Detective Mason called again. Searchers had widened the sweep and discovered another site, older, half-collapsed, hidden deeper in the woods. This one was different. No tarps, no supplies, just bones. Animal mostly. But in the fire pit, coins warped from heat, the melted remains of watches, and one item that froze my blood. A driver's license. The license of a clerk who'd vanished after a holdup in Vermont 3 years ago. I still work nights. Company policy now requires 2 clerks after midnight, but it doesn't help. The place feels lonelier than ever. Customers come by to check on me, ask about the robbery, try to make small talk. I smile, I nod, I tell them I'm fine. But I keep hearing Abbott's voice. There is a devil all the time.
I can't think about January 17th, 1994 without feeling the cold crawl up my spine. Even now, when I close my eyes, I smell it. The stale coffee, thick and bitter in the air, mixed with diesel fumes that never left the walls of the Leathers oil station on Division Street. That smell clings to the memory like mold. I was 19 then, working the dawn shift 3 days a week to scrape enough for community college. That Monday wasn't supposed to be mine. I traded with Virginia so I could take a math exam later in the afternoon. Sometimes I wonder if that was the worst decision of my life, or the only reason I'm still breathing. I woke a little after 6 to the sound of our old cordless phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. My manager, Harry, never called me at home, not once. His voice sounded wrong, flat, like someone had let all the air out of him. He said, "Shane, I need you to come down. Something happened. 3 employees got hurt." Hurt. That's the word he used. I remember sitting there, staring at the greasy Formica table, my mind not connecting the dots yet. Hurt. Car accident? A fall? My chest felt hollow, but I moved anyway. Threw on my red leather jacket, grabbed the keys to my rust blue Chevy S10. The truck coughed like an old smoker when I turned the ignition. 10 minutes from Troutdale to Gresham, half awake, half scared. The closer I got, the louder the world seemed. Sirens somewhere in the distance, the low hum of early traffic, my own heartbeat like a drum inside my skull. When I pulled in, I saw them. Police cruisers, a wall of flashing blue and red choking the parking lot. Yellow tape stretched across the pumps, fluttering in the icy wind rolling off Mount Hood. A cop stepped forward, hand out like a crossing guard. Before he could speak, I saw Harry across the lot. His mustache always twitched when he talked. That day, it didn't move at all. He walked up slow, eyes hollow, and then he said it. "They're gone, Shane." 2 words, heavy enough to crush my ribs. I stared at the oil-stained concrete because looking at him felt impossible. Gone, like they clocked out early, like they were on a smoke break. But then an ambulance door slammed, that sharp metal clack slicing through the morning air, and it became real. Detectives kept me outside for a while before waving me in. The overhead fluorescents were off. The only light came from the green emergency exit signs, glowing like something toxic in the shadows. I noticed the safe first, door wrenched wide open. Later I learned $9,000 had vanished. The registers sat gutted, drawers hanging like broken jaws. My boots squeaked on the linoleums. They led me past the coolers toward the storage room. The smell hit before I even saw them. Gunpowder tangled with motor oil and something metallic, like blood turning cold. They were lined up on the cement, face down, arms tucked under like obedient children. Virginia Endicott, 57. Mary Beth Carey, 25. And Rosalie Felgertz, 51. Each with one neat hole in the back of the head. Black, perfect circles. Someone had told them to lie down and then decided they didn't deserve to get back up. 3 lives snuffed out in under a minute, and the bastard walked out without leaving a single footprint. I bolted outside and threw up behind the propane cage. The January air cut through my jacket like knives. I kept seeing Virginia's smile from Friday, the way she'd shown me pictures of her grandkids, all proud and glowing. Now those pictures would outlive her. By 9, news vans swarmed the lot. Cameras, reporters. They called it the worst killing in Gresham's history. While they filmed, detectives asked me everything. Who had keys, who was pissed at management, who needed money bad enough to do this. One name floated up like oil on water. Tyram Walter Thies. 20 years old, 6'4", Black Panther tattoo stretched across his stomach like a warning sign. He'd managed the station until August, when Harry fired him for skimming from the till. Tyram didn't scream when he got canned, didn't throw a fit. He just stared at Harry, then at the rest of us, like he was memorizing every face, every detail, for later. That night I skipped my exam. Numbers felt stupid. The murders led every Portland broadcast. They said Tyram came in before sunrise with at least one accomplice, forced the women to open the safe, then walked them to the back, and pop, pop, pop. 3 shots, 3 executions. They showed his mugshot, angry eyes under a razor-sharp hairline. They warned he might still be in the metro area. I didn't sleep. Every creak in the house sounded like a footstep. Every shadow stretched too far. I kept imagining him in the hallway, moving quiet, a silencer in his hand. Dead witnesses don't tell stories. The station stayed dark for weeks. On February 10th, an informant fingered Tyram as the shooter. By the time a warrant dropped, he was gone. Idaho, maybe, or Mexico. No one knew. They picked up his cousin, Larry Scherf, and a woman named Lori Stevens, the getaway driver. Both took pleas, 10 years each, 10 Christmases. They'll see plenty more. Virginia, Rosalie, Mary Beth, they lost every one of them, forever. Leather's rebuilt, new paint, fresh pumps, even security guards. I never went back, took warehouse shifts instead. But sometimes I'd drive past, engine idling, staring at the station like I could rewrite history if I wished hard enough. Maybe if I hadn't traded shifts, maybe if I hadn't seen something in Tyram's eyes back then. Maybe. Years bled together. Gresham grew shiny strip malls and cookie-cutter houses, but the murders stayed like a rust stain under the paint. America's Most Wanted aired the case in '95. Unsolved Mysteries in '96. Both ended the same. A shadow melting into darkness. The caption, "The suspect remains at large." 30 years later, Last summer I went to a vigil. Candlelight flickered under a cold drizzle. The family set out photos on a folding table. Virginia in a floral Easter dress. Rosalie with a sparkler, frozen mid-laugh. Mary Beth cradling her newborn, face soft with hope. The pastor asked if anyone who worked with them wanted to speak. Before I knew it, I was at the mic, words shaken out of me. I told them how Virginia once replaced my whole starter motor during her lunch break because she was sick of hearing my truck cough. How Rosalie brought cinnamon rolls every Monday. How Mary Beth wanted to finish nursing school. When it ended, I didn't leave right away. I stood on the edge of the lot, rain pooling in the cracks, sodium lights washing everything in a sick amber glow. That's when I saw him. A tall man by pump 3, hood up, hands buried in his pockets. He stood too still, his head tilted just enough for my stomach to clench. Then he turned, just his profile, but I saw it, ink curling from under his jacket, right where the navel would be. A cat's head, black and sharp. The air left my lungs. A bus groaned by, shoving a wall of noise between us. When it rolled on, the man was gone. Maybe it was nobody, just a stranger with a tattoo. Or maybe the past had come home to check on his handiwork. I didn't chase him. I got in my truck and drove, white-knuckled on the wheel, eyes glued to the rear view. Every headlight in the distance felt like him closing in. None of them did, but the feeling stayed, that someone was running alongside me, just outside the reach of my headlights. 30 years later, Tyram's still a ghost in the system. The FBI file so old most of the agents hunting him weren't even born when those women died. They say he could be anyone now, filing taxes, coaching Little League, laughing at barbecue jokes while neighbors nod and smile. People think fugitives grow beards and hide in the woods. Most of the time, they blend in. They wait. And sometimes I think he's not hiding from them. He's hiding from me. And one day, he'll stop.